Okay, so welcome to another episode of News Dash, brought to you by JNA team. So today we have someone special.
Lucas? Do you forget my name?
No, I was going to say the special person is me because normally it's Jarvis doing this host, but because he's away, I'm going to take over his spot. So with him away, Lucas and I has officially came up with the hand sign. So welcome to News Dash. Okay, so News Dash is when two full-time realtors
become part-time newscasters.
Yeah, so we're going to bring you the most updated news on what's happening in the real estate market today. And yeah, let's get started.
Yes, so
what do we have for the first news today?
HDB makes changes to the income assessment period, grant disbursement, and a brand new HFE application process to replace the HLE.
So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with HLE, something they have to do before you actually look into your HDB purchase to see what kind of loan or what kind of grant you're eligible for. So HDB has just changed it up to HFE. So maybe you can share a little bit more, how has the income assessment period actually changed?
Well, yes, HDB used to assess the applicant's income based on the last 3 months or even up to 6 months to assess whether or not they're eligible for a HDB flat, right? And they have extended this to actually 12 months. Yeah. And the implication of this actually is, I think a lot of seasoned agents will know.
Yeah.
So if you want to be eligible to purchase a HDB or EC, you have to meet a certain income requirement. And what people do is they leave their jobs for 3 months. So now that they've closed up this gap.
So that shows that anything we can think about, any loopholes the government are trying to fill them out really quickly.
Yes, it's good. I think it's good. It's good. This prevents people who not supposed to buy
and maybe they may not need the grant, but they're trying to, through loopholes, actually get these grants.
Yes, that's right. So you'll be extended up to 12 months.
Yep.
Which means that you can't just leave your job, you can't change your salary.
Yeah, so they actually take a longer period and assess whether, these people are really eligible for the housing that they are applying for, as well as the grants that they actually claim to need.
That's right.
So I think something interesting will also be the grants that will actually be disbursed to the buyers.
Yes, so now they are going to disburse the loan to both. If it's a Singaporean PR couple, they'll be disbursing to both.
Yeah.
And what is also interesting is that previously you can purchase a HDB under a family nucleus, meaning one is the main applicant and one is the essential occupier. And previously they only give the grant based on if it's just one buyer, it's just based on one buyer. If it's 2 applicants, then it'll be based on 2 applicants. But now, even if one is a main applicant and one is an essential occupier, they will give the grant to both. Yeah.
So essentially this would be beneficial for, those maybe Singaporeans and PR or such family nucleus who are actually applying to HDB. And instead of just one person getting a grant, now both of them are actually eligible for it.
Yes.
But there are certain criteria, right?
Yes. So you can't use, if one is the essential occupier, you can't use both grants on that purchase. The occupier gets to keep the grant first for their next purchase.
Yeah, so essentially it's, it still goes into your CPF. You'll be able to use it for your next purchase, but just not this one.
Yes, that's right.
Got it. Okay, so let's move on to our second one. So this is something interesting because we've seen a lot of news about family offices actually setting up in Singapore. So, what about this news that is shocking to everybody?
So we have, I think to date, 700 family offices in Singapore, right? Which is a good number of wealth that's coming into Singapore, international wealth that's coming into Singapore, right? But it's been Alvin Tan, our Minister of Trade and Industry, said that these family offices are actually not purchasing any property.
So you think, when family offices actually come in, that's when money comes in. That's when Singaporeans are actually complaining, real estate prices are actually going up. So maybe you can explain a bit more, if family offices are not purchasing these properties, then how are these properties being purchased by these foreigners?
I do think that this is just half the story. Because if you look at it carefully, right, it doesn't make sense for the family office to purchase the property because they'll be paying now 65% ABSD.
Yeah, with the recent cooling measures.
Yes, whereas if you just buy under your own name as a foreigner, you're just paying 60% ABSD. Yeah, so I do think that the family offices opening up in Singapore, while they may not be buying it under the office name, they are still purchasing under their own personal name.
Yep.
So one more interesting thing is actually government gives these family offices 2 years to report their assets, their local assets.
Yep.
Yeah. So the data that we have in our system may not be actually that recent yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So we may take a while to actually see what's the actual number of foreigners buying.
The most recent updates on.
Yes, that's right. Right. So let's move on.
Okay, so this is something that we've been hearing a lot. Scammers actually posing as landlords or even real estate agents. And we are seeing this kind of scams spiking in the market, which is, something very scary if you are, in the tenant pool and you're trying to look for a house. And it's already hard enough in today's rental market. And then the next thing you have to be careful of is the scammers actually posing as agents.
Yeah. And actually we have this, what do you call it? Like a joke behind the scene where only if you're good enough or famous enough to be impersonated by a scammer means you've really made it as a real estate agent. That's how you know you've made it.
Yeah, so I think for those of you, who are looking to rent, I think one thing that you have to make sure is to ensure that the person that you're speaking to, it's really the landlord or the agent. Sorry, not the scammer. So things that you can actually check out for is before you send over the deposit, maybe ask them for the ownership proof, which is something that you can also purchase it yourself from Inlist. Or if you're looking to check on the real estate agent's background, you actually have CA website where you can actually input their CA number and you can or their phone number just to verify that the phone number you are speaking to is the correct agent and you're not speaking to a scammer.
Yes, but what's really tricky is, right, and it's very scary for us because these scammers, they take our name cards, our official name cards, and then they change their WhatsApp photo to our photo that's on the name card.
And I know some of them even have photos of like your CEA card that they send over. Because I think on platforms like whether Facebook or like even Chinese platforms like Xiaohongshu, you see a lot of like new tenants coming in, and it's very sad to see them transferring a huge sum of money over as deposit and not getting them back because ultimately you're not sending it over the landlord. Yeah.
Because if they're foreigners, they're not that familiar with Singapore practices. Of course, if you're Singaporean, you should already know you shouldn't be putting any deposit just to go for a viewing of the home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, rental market is still strong, but not that strong now that you have to go and pay a deposit.
Yes, to view the house. Yes, correct. So if any agents or what ask you to transfer deposit to view the house, it's a huge red flag that you should be taking note of.
Have you ever been scammed?
Fortunately to say, maybe when I was in the US and while studying there and looking for rental, I've met similar scams. So I think it's all over the world, where scammers try to take advantage of the rental market because they know you're someone new over there. So they will try to make you put a deposit down. So the whole scam kind of works in a similar way.
Okay.
Yeah, but fortunately, we were able to find out, that it wasn't a real deal. And then that's why we never go ahead of it.
Embarrassingly, I have been scammed very recently, like last year. It was a different scam where your friend calls you and then pretends to know you but doesn't say their name. Then they try to make you guess who is this. Then I'll just blurt out a name and then they will say yes, this is me. Yeah, and then because of that, I lent the person like $500 and it never came back. Yes.
Okay, but we learned from it.
Yes, I learned from it now.
So for all you out there, please be careful of these scams going on and just verify all the information before sending any kind of money over.
That's right. Right, so some international news.
Yep.
USA's inflation has finally eased to 4.9%.
From 9.1. That's quite a significant amount that we're looking at.
Yeah. It was 9.1 in July last year, right? And it's now down 4.9%, which is actually even lower than what they predicted because they predicted it would stay at 5%.
Yeah.
So it's come down by 0.1%.
So this is also led by the lower airline fares that people are... That's why everybody's going on travel right now.
Yeah.
We call it what? Revenge traveling. Revenge traveling.
Jealous.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of people, during COVID-19 has been like 3 years since they've ever been anywhere. So a lot of people are, now that the borders are open, the restrictions have eased, they're all looking to fly overseas, just to enjoy themselves. Yeah. And these, have also led to lower airline fares and, airlines are all opening up right now.
But investors have felt positive about it, right? They feel that interest rates will start to come down by the end of the year. Now, what do you think?
Okay, so I think it's very hard to. This is something that we've been talking with our clients because they've been very worried about how the high interest rate is going to actually affect the Singapore real estate market. So yes, it did dampen the transactions a little bit because Singaporeans, I think, we're on a wait and see approach.
Yeah.
But because of our strong holding power, we are not really seeing a lot of fire sale going on at the moment. Yeah. So I think we are very hopeful that hopefully interest rates start to come down a little bit, and that's when more people enter the market, and then we'll see the demand go up again.
Yeah. It is pretty positive that the Fed Chair Jay Powell has said that we are getting close or maybe even finished with interest rate hikes, right? So that's a very positive sign for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may be seeing the end of
this whole high interest rate saga.
It's tiring, Every session with clients, I have to explain to them, hey, now high interest rate can or not?
I need to assure them that interest rate and property prices in Singapore, the correlation, if you look throughout the years in the past when it actually happens, is not exactly that strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, due to the dynamics in Singapore.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's all we have for news today.
Yes.
Anything else to add on? What are your last thoughts for this week's news?
I'm very positive on the market, honestly. I feel like even though we've been talking about scams and things like that, actually the whole market sentiment on the ground, I feel is very positive.
Yeah. And we're also looking out for a lot of new launches. And as we've mentioned, a lot of developers, we are looking out for some of the discounts that are actually coming up. So do stay tuned. And so that's all the news that we have for today. Thank you for watching another episode of News Dash. We're two full-time realtors.
Pretend to be
part-time newscasters.
Yes.
Yeah, so for those of you who want to stay updated with us, whether it's on the current news or any upcoming new launches, do follow our Telegram channel over here. Yeah, and we'll see you the next time. So, News Dash. Bye.
Bye.